The young and the restless spoilers shock. Tracy's heart pounded in her chest as she sat in the dimly lit room, the sound of muffled footsteps echoing in the hall outside. The chill of dread crept up her spine. She knew that danger was imminent. Earlier that evening, she had sensed something amiss when Alan had broken into her room. His sudden intrusion left her with an unsettling mix of fear and clarity. This was no ordinary burglary. Alan's erratic behavior had hinted at something far more sinister, and Tracy couldn't shake the overwhelming feeling that she was now a pawn in a deadly game. Despite her terror, Tracy's mind raced with strategies. She was no helpless victim. She had learned to trust her instincts over the years. With measured calm, she slipped her hand into the pocket of her jacket. Her fingers found the cool metal of her phone, and almost without thinking, she pressed the call button for Jack, the one person she knew could help her. It was a subconscious act, driven by a blend of desperation and survival instinct. On the other end of the line, Jack answered the call in his own quiet apartment, expecting nothing more than a routine conversation. But the soft, trembling voice of Tracy immediately alerted him that something was gravely wrong. As the call connected, he could faintly hear a low, menacing tone in the background. Slowly, the words began to take shape, revealing a chilling conversation between Tracy and someone named Martin. "Martin, I'm telling you, this is all just a misunderstanding," Tracy pleaded, her voice wavering with a mix of fear and feigned composure. "I haven't told anyone about what I saw on that phone. It was horrendous." Her tone was desperate, as if trying to convince not only Martin but also herself that things could be resolved peacefully. But the calm was punctured by Martin's cold, almost detached response. "Why are you afraid of me, Tracy?" he demanded, his voice laced with a disturbing blend of amusement and menace. "Have I done something wrong? I've only ever been kind, only ever loved you in the best way possible. You know me, I would never let anything happen to you." Every word Martin uttered sent shivers down Jack's spine. Listening in, he began to piece together the grim reality. Martin wasn't just a harmless friend or a concerned partner, he was a threat, one whose intentions seemed geared towards extinguishing Tracy's life altogether. The shock of his realization almost left Jack paralyzed. He could hardly believe that the man he once trusted could be capable of such sinister plans. Despite her palpable fear, Tracy continued to talk, her voice growing softer as tears welled up and spilled over. She was caught in a paradox of terror and resolve, trying to soothe Martin's misplaced assurances even as her own heart screamed for help. "Martin, please. I just don't understand why you're so scared right now," she murmured, her voice cracking as she fought back sobs. "Everything is just a misunderstanding. I haven't revealed anything. I swear." But deep within her, the fear was undeniable. Tracy's inner strength wavered. The person she thought she was, courageous, unyielding, began to crumble under the weight of this relentless terror. Every fiber of her being trembled as she tried to find a way out of the mess that had ensnared her. The cold voice of Martin on the line was a stark reminder that nothing was as it seemed. His promises of love and kindness were now drenched in menace, each word laced with the potential to tip her life into chaos. Jack, who had listened to the entire conversation, felt an urgent call to action. The gravity of the situation was unmistakable. He knew that if Martin's threats were real, Tracy was in immediate peril. Without wasting another moment, Jack bolted from his apartment. His mind raced as fast as his feet, every step filled with the determination to reach Tracy's house before it was too late. In his head, the fragments of conversation echoed, Martin's chilling words, Tracy's quiet but desperate reassurances, and he couldn't help but question the nature of their relationship. Why would Martin, someone who professed love and kindness, now be orchestrating such terror? As Jack sprinted through the dimly lit streets, memories of past warnings surfaced. There had been subtle hints over the years, small inconsistencies in Martin's behavior that now took on an entirely new, ominous meaning. Jack's thoughts were a maelstrom of worry and resolve. He had to protect Tracy, to shield her from the encroaching danger that Martin represented. Every moment counted, every heartbeat was a reminder of how precarious their situation had become. At the same time, back in the room, Tracy clutched her phone tightly, her knuckles turning white. The conversation had not ended. Martin's voice lingered like a dark cloud overhead. She tried to steady herself, whispering reassurances that she hoped would not betray the terror in her eyes. "Martin, I understand you care, but you have to understand that I'm scared. This isn't the way things should be. I need you to trust that I know what I saw. Please, just let me figure this out," she pleaded, her voice barely above a whisper. Martin's tone shifted ever so slightly, a mix of frustration and concern emerging beneath his earlier veneer of calm. "Tracy, you know me. I only want what's best for you," he insisted, his voice softer yet still laden with an underlying threat. The conversation became a tightrope walk, a precarious balance between love and danger, between trust and suspicion. Every syllable carried the weight of secrets unspoken, the burden of choices that had led them to this fateful moment. Jack's frantic journey continued as he neared Tracy's house. His mind was a whirlwind of fear and determination, images of Tracy's terrified face mingling with the ominous tone of Martin's words. He pictured the darkened windows of the house, the silence that now masked the chaos unfolding within. Every shadow seemed to hold a promise of danger, every quiet street a potential trap laid by an unknown adversary. Inside, the situation was spiraling further into chaos. Tracy's resolve was being tested like never before. With each passing second, the gravity of Martin's threats grew more real, and the realization that she might have become entangled in something far beyond her control sank in. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, a broken trust, unspoken secrets, and the dawning awareness that the love she once believed in was perhaps a dangerous illusion. As Jack finally reached the front door of Tracy's house, he paused for a split second to listen for any sounds from within. The silence that greeted him was both eerie and unsettling. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever might lie ahead, and prepared to burst into a scene of potential peril in order to rescue the woman he cared so deeply about. In that moment, the night seemed to hold its breath, suspended between hope and despair, as two lives teetered on the edge of an uncertain fate. Would Jack arrive in time to save Tracy from the clutches of a love gone dangerously awry? Would Tracy, with her inner strength and determination, manage to outsmart the encroaching threat? Or was the night destined to witness the tragic unraveling of lives ensnared in a web of deception and twisted affection? In the silent, tense pause before the storm, all that was certain was that nothing would ever be the same again. As the door creaked open, Jack's heart pounded like a drum, a relentless rhythm echoing his determination to fight against the dark forces that had invaded Tracy's life. With every step he took inside, he vowed to bring light to the darkness, to be the shield against the tempest of betrayal and fear that now raged. In that charged moment, the battle lines were drawn, and the fight for survival had only just begun. In this unfolding drama of betrayal, unspoken secrets, and the desperate fight for survival, every character is thrust into a maze of trust and treachery. The shadow of Martin's threats looms large over Tracy's world, while Jack races against time to rescue her from the abyss of uncertainty. The tension between love and danger, between protection and vulnerability, sets the stage for an explosive confrontation that will redefine every relationship and challenge every belief. As the night deepens and the stakes rise, one thing is certain: the lives of Tracy, Jack, and Martin will be forever intertwined in a struggle that tests the limits of human courage and resilience. Tracy's mind was a battleground of fear and confusion. Earlier that night, when Alan had intruded into her room, she had felt a chill of foreboding, a premonition that danger was imminent. The very idea that someone she once loved, a man to whom she had given her whole heart, might be capable of harm was unthinkable. Alan's sudden, uninvited appearance had rattled her, leaving her questioning his intentions. Did Alan truly want to harm her, or was there some hidden truth behind his actions? After all, she had given him the greatest love she had to offer, believing that such a love would be reciprocated in kind. Though fear gripped her, Tracy was determined to maintain her composure. In a moment of instinct, she slipped her hand into the pocket of her jacket, her fingers finding the cool metal of her phone. Almost unconsciously, she dialed Jack, the one person she trusted implicitly. In that split second, as her trembling fingers hit the call button, she hoped that Jack's help would arrive before the situation spiraled further out of control. On the other end of the line, Jack answered, unaware of the multifaceted danger that was unfolding. Instead of hearing a simple plea for help, he was immediately drawn into a conversation charged with contradictions and dark undercurrents. Over the phone, he could just make out the tense dialogue between Tracy and a man named Martin. "Martin, please, listen," Tracy's voice broke with both fear and a desperate plea for understanding. "I know you're trying to reassure me, but I'm scared. I haven't told anyone about what I saw on that phone, about what I witnessed." It was horrifying. There was an eerie calm in Martin's response that sent chills down Jack's spine. "Tracy, you have nothing to worry about," Martin said in a measured tone. "I've always been kind, I've always cherished you. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. I'm only trying to secure an agreement with Jack that benefits us both. Trust me." The juxtaposition of Martin's soothing words and the situation's grim reality left Jack reeling. Martin's claim, that he was merely using Tracy as a bargaining chip to cement a deal with Jack, only added to the labyrinth of conflicting loyalties. Jack's instincts screamed that something was very wrong. Meanwhile, the earlier incident with Alan loomed in his mind. Alan, who had once been the embodiment of tenderness and devotion, was now suspected of harboring dangerous intentions. Could it be that Alan's actions were part of a bigger scheme, or was he himself being manipulated by forces unknown? As the conversation unfolded, Jack's heart pounded harder, and the urgency of the situation became undeniable. Realizing that he could not act alone, he swiftly decided to contact those he trusted most: Victor, Michael, and even Chance. The stakes were too high to rely on one man alone. Jack's first call was to Victor. "Victor, I need you right now," he said, barely able to keep his voice steady. "Tracy is in danger. Alan's behavior is alarming, and Martin's words, they're too calculated. We need a full rescue operation at her place. I can't sit by and let this escalate." Victor's voice, calm yet resolute, answered promptly. "I'm on my way, Jack. I'll call Michael and Chance immediately. We'll gather everyone, no one is to approach her until we have a plan. Stay safe and keep me updated." Soon, Michael joined the conversation. An analytical mind with a knack for piecing together the minutiae of every crisis, he said, "Jack, this whole scenario smells of deception. Martin's insistence that he wouldn't harm Tracy, that he's only maneuvering for a deal with you, feels more like a ploy than genuine concern. And what about Alan? How could someone who once meant so much to her now appear capable of inflicting harm? We need to consider all angles." Adding his gravelly, no-nonsense perspective, Chance interjected, "Jack, I've known both Alan and Martin for years. Alan, if the man Tracy adored suddenly becomes a threat, then there's something dark at play. And Martin, who has this reputation of being fundamentally good, is using her to force your hand. This isn't just about love gone wrong, it's a power play, and we need to be ready for anything." Jack's worry deepened with every passing second, yet amidst his mounting anxiety, a steely determination began to crystallize. "I'm heading to her house now," he declared. "I need all of you there in full force. We have to act before things go beyond control. There's too much at stake: Tracy's life, her well-being, and the delicate balance between all of us." As Jack raced through the darkened streets, his mind churned with conflicting memories and unanswered questions. He recalled the early days of his friendship with Alan. A time when Alan had been the epitome of kindness and tenderness. Tracy's love for Alan had been deep and unwavering. She had poured her heart into him, believing that such love would be mirrored. Now, the notion that Alan might have intentions to harm her was a bitter pill to swallow. Had he been swayed by external forces? Was someone manipulating him behind the scenes? Or had the darkness in his soul finally emerged from beneath the surface? In contrast, Martin's role was proving to be equally complex. often referred to by some as co-oyas, a term that suggested inherent goodness, Martin's current behavior was perplexing. His assurances to Tracy, his calm demeanor, and his insistence that he was not the villain were all part of a calculated performance. According to Martin, his use of Tracy was merely a means to secure a mutually beneficial agreement with Jack. It was a deal that Jack had to consider carefully, despite his rising suspicions. Martin's words, filled with a veneer of affection, now masked a manipulation that threatened to upend everything. Back in the tense silence of Tracy's home, the atmosphere was fraught with an ominous blend of despair and fleeting hope. Tracy sat huddled in a dim corner, the single lamp casting distorted shadows on the walls. Her eyes, swollen from tears, betrayed the inner turmoil that raged within her. Every word Martin had spoken resonated with a hollow promise, a promise that was more about striking a deal than offering genuine protection. The juxtaposition of love and betrayal was too painful to bear, and yet, she clung to the hope that someone would come to her rescue. With her heart pounding, Tracy's inner dialogue wove through the painful memories of her past with Alan. She recalled the laughter they once shared, the gentle moments of intimacy, and the warmth of his affection. The love she had invested in him was immense. An all-consuming passion that had once promised a lifetime of mutual care. Now, that same love was under threat, twisted by the harsh reality that Alan might be involved in something far darker than she could have ever imagined. The betrayal was not just personal, it was a shattering of the idealistic trust she had placed in him. In a moment of desperate resolve, Tracy tried to regain control of the situation. "Martin, please," she whispered through trembling lips, "explain to me why I should not be afraid. I trusted you. I believed in your words, in your promise that nothing would happen to me. What is it that you're really after?" Martin's response was calm and measured, laced with an unsettling mixture of care and calculated ambition. "Tracy, you must understand, I am doing this for us, for our future. I would never intentionally hurt you. My intentions are pure, and I am merely trying to secure an important deal with Jack that will ensure our stability. Trust in that, and all will be well." But even as he spoke, the tone of his voice carried the unmistakable hint of ulterior motives. His assurances, though soothing on the surface, served as a stark reminder of the transactional nature of his relationship with her. In his mind, Tracy was not merely a beloved companion, she was a bargaining chip in a much larger game of power and survival. As the distant sounds of approaching vehicles and hurried footsteps signaled the mobilization of Jack's team, the stakes escalated further. Jack's voice, resolute and commanding, had reached Victor, Michael, and Chance, and now every one of them was on their way to Tracy's home. They were not just rescuers, they were a collective force ready to confront the tangled web of loyalties, betrayals, and hidden agendas that now threatened to consume them all. The night grew darker as Jack's allies converged on the location. Each of them carried with them memories of past battles and unspoken vows of protection. The streets, normally familiar and benign, now seemed to echo with the potential for danger. Every shadow and every turn held the possibility of a trap or an ambush, as if the very fabric of the night had been woven with threads of treachery. Inside Tracy's house, the atmosphere was equally charged with tension. The silence that enveloped the room was punctuated only by the intermittent hum of the outside world, a cruel contrast to the chaos simmering within. Tracy's eyes, though filled with tears, also held a spark of determination. She realized that the battle for her life was not just about escaping immediate danger, it was about unmasking the hidden truths that had turned the people she loved into potential threats. Her inner voice urged her to fight back, to seek the truth behind Alan's alarming behavior and Martin's unsettling promises. At the moment Jack finally arrived at the front door, every fiber of his being was focused on one goal: to protect Tracy, no matter the cost. With a deep breath and a steeled resolve, he signaled to his team that the time had come to breach the threshold. They would face whatever lay inside together, united by their determination to rescue her and unravel the complex web of deceit that had entangled their lives. As the door creaked open and Jack stepped into the dim interior, he was greeted by an almost tangible tension, a silence so thick that it pressed against him like a physical weight. The room was a mosaic of light and shadow, each flicker of the lamp hinting at secrets waiting to be revealed. In that charged moment, Jack's mind raced with questions. Was Alan truly the villain he appeared to be, or was he being used as a pawn in someone else's game? And what of Martin, whose carefully chosen words belied a darker, more manipulative strategy? The truth was obscured by layers of affection, betrayal, and a desperate need to secure a future that now seemed perilously uncertain. In the heart of this turbulent scene, the fates of Tracy, Alan, Martin, and Jack converged. Tracy's trembling figure, caught between hope and despair, was a poignant symbol of the cost of misplaced love and unspoken promises. Jack's determination to save her was a beacon of loyalty in a night where trust had become a rare commodity. Meanwhile, the conflicting motives of Alan and Martin painted a picture of love corrupted by ambition and fear, a stark reminder that sometimes, the people we hold dear are not always what they seem.